Yes, we can trade long, and I've got the splash page as being bullish, but I also want us to be aware of the next bearish point, turning point within the market. So just on the S&P here, we could look at it as an A and a B and a C for the A wave, an A and a B and a C here for the B wave here. And this obviously has got history here, but it's also the 61.8% retracement level at that point. So it is possible after the earnings season that we move down. Is that the case? I don't know. The market will just have to give us enough price action so we know where we are at that point. So I do have a bullish account for the S&P, and we'll have a look at that when we do the S&P video next after the stock video. But yeah, so we can push higher. We will push higher. And but we also just need to be, I just want to point out that there is a bearish situation further up. So for the NASDAQ here, we've been sleeking across the 13,000 here. So a safe long trade to the upside would be taking this top out here. So I'll just leave that there as a possible trade. And also too, we've got 5 waves down here as well. So taking this top out here, well, technically this top, but this one would be very helpful because we've got an impulse wave here. Because if this was going to be bearish, then this would have to be down for one here, an A and a B and a C wave here for this. So taking this top out here would be helpful in climbing higher at that point. And also you could also use group 1 here as well through here, so 13,100, 200 and 300, and then 500, the routine for that. So we are bullish, we are going up. Last week, generally speaking, at the end of the week closed on higher volume with a higher price, so that means momentum is to the upside. But we want to be aware of the bearish side of things, and obviously some stocks are stronger than others and so forth. So with Apple here, last week we looking at higher ground here for Apple as well, and as I mentioned last week, we can count this move up through here in a couple of different ways, so we'll just sort of go through that. One of the important points here though is that it's got to do with the trading level. So after the medium level here, we've got minor group 2, which is 165 and 65 numbers, I call it 72 and 80. So we can see here now that this 65 here, because normally once the market sort of gets there and then not trading above it, but actually tests it as a nice tested support, and it would need this pattern here. So the arrival, which we already have, the reaction, which we already have. So we're looking for the first high above the level. So it hasn't really established itself on that 165 yet, but once it does that, then it sits in here, and then we can expect it to climb higher at that point. Obviously, we've got an old trend line there, we've got old highs there. So group 2 normally is a bit of a hard slug through there, but it's always a positive movement. So this can be counted in different ways through here. If I was going to count it as 1 and 2 and 3 here, as I mentioned last week, then we would need to see, it doesn't have to be longer, but we'd like to see, it's just nice, it's just another box ticked if we can get wave 3 being longer. So that would take wave 5 up to the 180, which is quite a stretch at that point. This here can be counted a little bit differently, so we can move in and just have a look at those various ways that it can be counted. So this is another way. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, the same way, actually just broken down into a easy pattern. So when we get these 5 waves here, this will just be wave 1, and then there'll be a wave 2 pullback, and then continuing to the upside for this market. So this is a slightly different count here, where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for 1 and 2. Still bullish. And that should really stay with, it can spike below the 65, but generally they sort of hang in there with that on the 5K tick here. This is also counted a little bit differently as well here, with 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, yada, 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 but still moving to the upside. I kind of like this count actually. gives me another leg so I can climb higher. That wave 4 will, even though that's the wave 4 one lesser degree, it normally stay within that space there, and this will end up being higher up here as well for that. And what have I got on 1,000? Normally sort of a bearish count, but we're quite bullish at the moment. So this is where we left off last time. We're looking for wave 1 to the upside. Now this wave 2 here could pull back a little bit further in this instance here, so just be a little bit careful about that. We may get anything can happen in the new week at the opening, things over the weekend, things go bump in the night. So we may get another move down here, but I think we've got a little ABC in here anyway as a corrective move. So we should be right, but you can see, you know, it's having another crack at that 165, which is the important point here. I'll just go to 100 ticks. Yeah, it's got a nice little support there at the moment for that. Can we look at that as 1, 2, still be 1, 2, let's try to see if we can get it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here for that. Could be a little bit careful. I mean, it's such a nice little setup here. You know, this is where I'd be looking to go long, really. That's a little classic trading levels pattern here, the arrival, the reaction, first high above the level, a little corrective move here and taking out the top here. But just be aware that it can come back down to that area there. So you know, if it was me, I wouldn't put on a full trade at that point. I'll just have a little crack at it, you know. But if I got that wrong there, I'd either be out here. I'd probably be a little bit tighter depending on how the market opens. But you have to work out, are you going to get out under here, or are you going to hold it through all of this? That's the question, because this length here can be roughly, as a pinch, take it with a pinch of salt, can be the same. So 163, the bounce would come off that. So you'd need to be prepared to hold it through that. So just be a little bit mindful of that. Yeah, so I've got the A wave, a B wave, and so on here. But yeah, I kind of like the way that it's sitting up there at the moment, and it's the second time it's had a go at it. So it's kind of taken the wind out of the sails. So there's probably a slight edge to the upside, because most markets closed on the weekly volume closed higher. There are some that had high volume and closed lower as well, of course. So, but so that's Apple. So looking, you know, well, Apple's always looked pretty bullish, you know, so that's all good there. So this is Amazon here, and we've got the earnings coming in on the 27th there. I think Apple might be the same. You have to check. That chucks another spanner in the works, doesn't it? The banks had good earnings, didn't they? A bit of a surprise there at 19-20% higher. So yeah, I mean, really with the banks, I suppose the higher interest rates have really sort of helped them make that money, isn't it? But I do wonder, you know, if just general banking money has come in better as more for them as well. Okay, so this is on the 1,000 tick, this is a bearish count that we had. And the reason I've left it here for is because it's just nice to see it become sort of invalidated, really. So we had wave, you know, wave 1 here and wave 2 here, and this is the rather reason I left it here for too, because it's like, I find being in the markets, you know, if we were in a big solid trend, it's fine. But when you're in a massive correction like we're in now, you know, over the last year or two, you know, we just have to be extra careful, you know, and it's a process, and, you know, we need to let the market confirm to us where we are. So in this case here, I've had wave B here and looking down for 1 and back for 2 here. Now, obviously, when that wave 2 here becomes, you know, if the market moves up through here, which I think that it will, then obviously this count becomes invalidated at that point, you know. But at the same time, I think that, you know, we need to also understand, you know, well, can the markets move up higher? How far can they move up? And would it still be bearish at a higher point in the markets? And that's what I think that's important. So I think that's, whoops, I've gone to an 8-hour chart. Didn't mean to do that. Let's go to this daily chart here. So this is a bullish count. We'll come back to this. Our bearish count is on the 50 count, 50k here. So basically I've changed the bearish count. So what I've done now is I'm taking it to higher ground here. So that means that we can look at this as the A wave, the B wave, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you know, we'll get up here somewhere, you know, if it moves up here, let's say, then, you know, everybody will be thinking that they're bearish at that, bullish at that point in time. But the reality is we still got to move past, you know, this as a swing as 1, 2, 3 here, because 3 waves can be corrective. So I think it's sensible and practical and logical to continue with a bearish count in most of the markets. And I'm just using this as an example. So we know where the weak spot is within the market, and we don't, you know, get our heads lost in the situation. We know where the risk is at this point. So one of the things here, though, is that 1 is the strongest number in the market, according to me. And you can see now that, you know, this is a little classic trading levels pattern here, isn't it? The arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, some type of correction in here, and then taking the top out here. When it takes the top out here, it's telling me that it's tested this number, and, you know, the demand has built up at that number enough to push away from it at that point. So it is looking sort of bullish, and that's the pattern here at the moment. So we could look to build a long trade in here. This is a little bit risky at that point. This one's a better risk at that point, the B wave here, and obviously the top here is nice and clean. So when you take a trade here, you may want to look at it as you know, a smaller position rather than a fuller position. But obviously the money's in the turn, but that's where the risk is as well, and so on. But we have just gone past that little B wave here. I've probably mentioned having a trade here. I have to have a look inside, but so that's looking quite good. You know, the stochastics, I've got them set on some other number there, but they seem to be tuned in reasonably well at this point, but they're looking good as well. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the bearish side of things, and I won't talk about that with all the markets, but I will with some. But yeah, we need to take it up a peg. There will be alternative counts to having a bullish count, but in a nutshell, normally what we can look for to have just to get a general idea of something is to have a little bit of equality here, you know. So in this case, we'd have to come back up to this top here. It might we could have another count that could fall short of that, and so on and so on, you know, and different markets will be different. But I'll point a few of them out along the way where those weak spots are. But generally speaking, we can, for at least the short term, be on the long side here. And as I said before, with the earnings, is pretty much buy the rumor, sell the fact. But the fact is that you know, the banks had really good earnings. So, but you know, the other industries may not be the same as this, you know. So we just need to see a couple of these big tech stocks come out and see what's what a bit. But I don't specialize in that, so just don't have the time. I mean, the more you know, the better off you are, isn't it? You know. So anyway, that's a 20k. So I'll just go to the 5k here for a moment. Okay, so we have talked about being long here, but we'll go to the tick chart to look at that a little bit further. So pretty much it ticks in a box here, but you know, taking out highs here is a very basic sort of thing. We like to look at between 100 and 110 here. So 10 is it's a minor level here. So this would be all minor group 1 here, 10, 20 and 30. Now in this case it's quite big. In some other cases with stocks move that could be quite small, you know. But that's all minor group 1. So while the price is in minor group 1, it still belongs to the 100 here. I know that sounds a little bit weird because there's a lot of space here. But between 100 and 110 here, we've got the Fibonacci numbers running again, 1, 2 and 3 and 5 and 8. And their sub-levels. And at 103, getting support on 103, that will send the market to 105 at that point. Then getting another classic trading levels pattern there that will take us to 108, profit taking number, and so on. So that's the way that we build up there, as I would have probably said before. Yes, I have talked about it here in some way or another. So anyway, I can't remember what I said, but it's pretty much always the same, so it doesn't really matter too much. But the 103 here, this will be top of subgroup 1, so it's a big deal. You can see that it's had history here, and normally we'd get whoops a daisy, hit the wrong button. But you see here we've got 1, 2, 3 here, so we still don't have 5 waves here in this little instance, but if we did have 5 waves here, then we'll get an ABC pattern here, wouldn't we, coming back somewhere in here and then pushing up there. So let's pretend that that's been triggered and this one hasn't, because it's just, you wouldn't do that. So you can wait for the first high above the level there, and you've got the little 5 waves here. Everything's pretty rosy. We can bring that back to the 50-60%. Need to leave the stop under there for the moment. But yeah, that's where we can add another position. You could probably make this position a little bit bigger than this one. It shouldn't have too much. This correction here will be a bit time consuming, because at number 3, it's normally quite eventful, let's say, more so than these guys here, generally speaking. But once it's done, it will move pretty swiftly from 3 to 5 at that point, and then have another type of correction at that point, and then we'll be looking up into group 2 at that point. So you can kind of see where the market is at this particular point. So looking quite good here for this. So yeah, I mean, if I put on 1 share here, I'd probably put on 3 here or something like that. You know what I mean? But normally I'd trade, say, 5 shares or something. You know what I mean? That type of ratio sort of thing. So steady she goes, Captain. And NVIDIA here. So yeah, I won't go to the bigger picture because we can see that it's bullish, but what I don't know was looking for the A wave, the B wave, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wonder if I've got that wrong there. That still doesn't, no, that would be still okay. See, I've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, right? And then I've got this extra low here that we're looking for. So I think we could still come down here further. So just be a little bit, see this little thing here, that would be a little 1 and 2. This would be a 3, 4, 5 here. And then we could come down here. But I could get this wrong here, and we could just go straight up from that point. So really, normally we'd use the B wave up here for that. I mean, if you want to buy here and hold to here, be my guess. But yeah, just taking out these tops here is not good enough at that point. What we could do, though, is we could look at this top here and this low. I've got to take it from this low. That would leave us at the... So I guess if we got a, if that's 72, you could probably, in this case, you use 73, the top of 270 group 1. So the 3 is all, wherever you see a 3 is group 1. So classic trading levels pattern on top of 273. Then with the view of adding a little bit more on top of 5, and then we can look on top of 8 here, and then that will take us up to the 300 at that point. So you can go in that direction, but just once you've got the 272 as support, add on 273, then on 275, and then on 280, and that will get you. I mean, obviously the 290 will give you a bit of a hard time, but that will just be. It'll just be like a little tiff, because something like you haven't washed the dishes today again or something, you know what I mean? So you can handle that. So with Meta platforms here, it looks like it's just continuing to build to the upside. So really we're going to end up at the 250, and we may even need to extend this out even further and take us up to 300 as well. There's different ways to do this. We can look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here and extend this up further. But I think what we can do is just really stay on the intraday here and rebuild this particular trend that we're in here. So yeah, so let's just go into this and just see what I've got here. Yeah, we're going to have to build it up like this here. I think we'll have to look at this as all the way up for 1 here, Or no, maybe we can just go 1 and 2 here. I think that's what I did. So you can also rebuild this here as well on this way as 1 and 2, 1 and 2, like we had it ages ago on that, and then continue to build up to 3 here. But we'll just go to the intraday and have a look at that. So from here, we'll just build it up from here a little bit. We're getting to the 250, the 5 is the important thing here. So we can look at this as 1 and 2 and 5 waves up for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. I suppose I could bring all this up here for 1 here and 2 here as well. That's also a possibility. Let me think about that for a moment. But besides that, we were counting up here the other day of, I remember having that little wave 1 here and 2 here. And as long as it stayed above that there, we could continue to build higher. So looking at this here, I can see that it's just not finished. So not that happy with this wave 3 here, by the way. So, I'd be sort of more happy with a wave 1 here. And this looks like a wave 3 building here. And the reason I say that for is you see all the little moves in here, the little ups and downs in here. They're fine. But you can see how these ones are bigger. This is typical sort of wave 3 stuff. So I don't think that's a wave 3. I think that we might need to change that. But all you need to be concerned about is that it's going to wiggle itself around a little bit further and find support on the 220, and then it's going to have a bigger correction here at the 230. So you need to keep your stop out of the way down here under the 10, because normally when it's up here at the 30, it can spike down to 215 and then move up from that point. So you don't want to get too close to it. So definitely keep the stop under the 15, and then you don't keep the stop at 14. So the stop will have to go at down at 12 on that side. So most of the long trades should have a stop ending in 2, which is 12, or 6, which would be above the 5. But in this case, you don't want to be above the 5. In this case, not when you're around. Not when you're in group 1 here of that. But yeah, look, it should stay pretty sort of steady and continue to build. Like I said, the biggest correction will be on the 230, and then it'll push up to the 25, and I'll keep sort of mulling that over a little bit because I think it's got the potential to go up to the next major level 3 here. So we'll just see what kind of dance it does here for that. But it looks like it's all of this trend here looks like it's building, not ending. So, if I had a bit of a guess at it, I would say that little spike just in here is actually the center of the whole trend from here. That's half of it, and the other half is up at the 300 here somewhere. But I don't know that yet. That's just part of the guessing game. So, but anyway, be long, hold long, all that sort of stuff on this particular market. And Netflix here, we're looking at this being well, I had a little bit of a problem here because you could count this down good as 5 waves, but we also got 5 waves here as well. It's easier to put this as more of a corrective pattern than this one, and because we're in a bullish market as well. So it'll be something like I've got here. The question the question I have is wave 2 here, or is wave 2 over here for this? Any new highs here you can go long on, and obviously there's going to be problems at that next high over here for that. But let's just go in. I'm not sure what I've updated here. I don't think I need to do any of that. Oops. 1,000 ticks, not 100. Okay, so that's not really helpful there either. Let me just go to 100 ticks. Let me just check on that. Okay, let's have a look at this. So, yeah, look, I've got this as the A, the B, and the C here for wave 2, but it could pull back to the 50-60% here. I'm not quite sure. So if I was doing it, I would be looking to take this top out here for that. But then again, you're at the 350 here. So there's going to be something. It's going to be something like this here. So just be, and then it's going to come back here and hitting group 2 here and so on. But definitely worth getting in, because we've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A bit dodgy, but that's all good. So yeah, I just don't know if we come down, you know, if we have something like this here, and then move up. I mean, because it looks like a bit of an A and a B and a C wave here. Do you know? Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, I mean, a little bit annoying, isn't it? Yeah, look, I just have to say take the top out here, and then look to add over here on support, and then look to add over here on support. But definitely build in some way or another. I think, when does this, did I have it here? Oh, yeah, here we go. It's the 18th. Well, what's that? Tomorrow. Okay, well, you know, it's just pretty dangerous. You know, you don't know what's going to come out the gates, do you? You know, with the inflation, people, you know, start cutting things. Still, TV's pretty essential these days, isn't it? We're all addicted to the box. We're going to head in one box or another. Yeah, I don't know. But all I can say is we've got 5 waves here. We will be going higher. I just don't know how far it's going to pull back. Buying new highs doesn't get you the best price, but it gets you a safer trade. Okay, so Enphase earnings later on. So this is another case really where we've been looking at possible bearish scenarios. We can look at possible bullish scenarios now as well, in terms of wave 1 here with an ABC pattern for, don't have a C wave here for wave 2, but also an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up here in 5 waves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I could already have 5 waves here. I wasn't really sure about this little move in here. So, but anyway, I'll just be a little bit conservative and just see how that plays out here. So it's possible to already have wave 1 in here as well with that. But we should be pushing up higher, whichever way you want to have a look at this. So up to the 250 there. I just don't know if it's bullish or going to be bearish. But, you know, as Gann would say, when you've got a triple top, it's normally the 4th time it will go through it. Not that I'm a big Gann trader. I mean, just... you know, but we're all grateful for anybody that's had any reasonable thoughts about the markets, and some of them we can use and some of them we don't, you know, and we're all different and got different ways of doing things, but just take what you need. So Apple here, so I've had bearish on this as well, but we're going to be looking at this as being, well, I've got a bit like the other market, so we have to lift the bearish case higher. So that's what I'm doing just here, but I've also got bullish counts for this as well. But in the interim, it doesn't really matter. So we can trade long with all of this. We will be going higher. So yeah, I don't see a problem here with this. We were looking at the communication section here, which Alphabet has got a fair bit in here as well. So either way you look at this, we can look at it as an ABC for the A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up here. But this move up here is just not finished, you know. We could look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and move up here. It doesn't really matter. Whichever way you want to look at it, it still needs to go higher. So that's the good news. Now, it could be bullish with 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, you know, building to the upside. But, you know, we need to have this bearish case here as well. But we can trade long, so it's not a big deal. And it's sort of the same thing here as well. So, yeah, you can get a small position in here. Last week we had, I think we had higher volume for this one as well. You'll just need to keep the stop out of the way, and you can also look to add to this a little bit further up here once that becomes a classic trading levels pattern across here. It's going to come back and bite you, unfortunately. That's 1, 2. This will be the third wave. So this will be, that third wave will move up here. That will be fourth and fifth. And then it's going to come back and sit. It's going to sit probably here. Won't be too bad. Probably not the best place to get in, actually. We'll put this back over here, but it might just run away on you as well. Do you know what I mean? It sort of can do that. It's still 10. It should see some sort of, you know, should see some sort of thing here. Anyway, you kind of understand the risk with this, what, you know, what you're up against. The markets, I'll take that to the 10. So it can pull back into this space in one way or another. So you'll need to leave your stop out of the way from that point. Microsoft here. It's another one too that I don't know if we, you know, have a little 5-wave move here and then go up, or we just go straight up from here. I mean, I don't really have 5 waves. Oh yeah, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not quite sure, but if you want to take the middle road, then you can go along above that top there. You may as well get out at 300 here. That would be the target area at that point. But also, I've got bullish pattern for this too, but this would be the bearish pattern here. Looking for, this would be a classic trading levels pattern here in a bigger picture. So once we get to the top here, you know, we'll need to work out, the market will need to tell us if this is corrective or not. And once it does that, then we know we can go long again at that point. So trading to here, you know, is get out, and we could trade this leg up here a little bit later on as well. This leg here, that will be 5 waves. Okay, so Berkshire Hathaway, I'm also looking at this, going to look at this as the A wave here, the B wave here, and the C wave up here for the B wave. So this C of B here will be 5 waves. It will be 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 up here. Now it can also be bullish as well, but I think we need to move past, you know, past a 5-wave structure here. So this basically wave 1 and 2 here, and there'll be wave 3, 4, 5 here, something like this. So it's only over here that we'll know if, once we give this enough time to mature, if this is going to be, you know, bullish at that point or continue to be, you know, corrective to the downside at that point. I won't know. We'll just have to work through that. But that will be the, that will be, so for what it's worth, you can trade long. Obviously, the old high is going to see vibrations at the 320 area through here, but pushing up to above the 330 will be fine. You might get to 340, but there will definitely be some type of, you know, corrective move while at the 20 and at the 30 here. So getting $10 if that's any good to you. And Tesla here. So what's the date today? 17th. 18 this week, so Wednesday. Yeah, so that's there. So yeah, I have no idea about the earnings, as I mentioned. I haven't just tuned into it. I would like to be, but can't do everything. And I did have a bit of a look at things, you know, but I don't know. Everybody's just sort of, you know, just guessing about everything. You know, I watched the Bloomberg guy talking, you know, with the IMF the other day on some sort of forum, and, you know, all these smart people there, and I was like, you know, listening to them closely, and they don't really know anything either. It's kind of, you think that when you're dealing with numbers, with, you know, currency and that, all mathematics, it'd all be reasonably sort of pure, but they're no better off than us technical analysis people. Anyway, so in this instance here, we know we got 5 waves here. So we know that after a correction, we're going to go further to the upside. Now, the correction, what we're trying to figure out is that it here with the ABC pattern to here? And then we go up for 1 here and 2 and 1 and 2 and continue to build up? Or do we look at this as 5 waves down, some sort of ABC, and we come down again? So we've been looking at it in 2 ways. So we'll just need to continue to do that. The long trade will come once we understand this over here, but you can move in earlier, but as long as you know that's the risk. So taking this top out here or support over here, or even if we do get 5 waves up here of 1 and 2 here and 3, 4, 5 here, there'll be a little pullback in here. It won't be much. It'll just come in somewhere, some balance point across here somewhere at the 190. So you could probably pick it up at the 190 at the end of the day, and then build on the 200, and then build all the way through, build through here on that, and go hard on that, because we've got that 5 waves. We'll have that 5 waves, so we'll be pretty safe at that point. And we know that even as a bearish move, as this is an A wave and a B wave here, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll be up sort of up here anyway at 300, So a good thing here. Now, when this comes out here, it could be good, could be bad. So I mean, he's been lowering the prices, so should be doing the volumes there. So anyway, let's just go in and have a little look at this. So that's going to cut to the chase. I think I need to go to 5 to pick up the bullish count here. Okay, so this is the bullish count here, with wave 2 here and wave 1 and 2 here. And then I can look at this as wave 1 and 2 here and 3, 4, 5 for this here, and then the ABC over here. Oops. So it'd be something that would be the bullish count here. So if you wanted to go long, you can do it from here, because it's such a small position. If you go for such a small position, you can keep the stop out of the way here. I mean, you can put the stop just under here technically, but I find that especially if you're intraday trading, it's kind of better just to put it out of the way if you can trade less and put it out of the way. Then you've definitely got a nice place to do it, because I find a lot too, if I'm trading on some real small intraday thing and I get a bit sort of cocky and I go, okay, well I can put it here, and then I say to myself, well I can put it under here too, and then suddenly something comes out of left field and takes me out and then moves off. We've all been through that. So sometimes it's good to be sort of safe at that point. So yeah, you can put it right under here, I guess, or you can put it here, but if you don't want to get stopped out, then you'll need to leave it here. And really, if you're going to get a position here, you're really playing for, yes, of course you can get out at the 200, and then you can get back in again as well. But it's more really for building a longer term position. So it's kind of a different strategy, but whatever, you've got to have a strategy and you've got to stick to it. That's pretty much it. So let's just go to the 1000, where we've probably got the more bearish side here. Yeah, so this is okay, well that's why I was going long here, because even on the bearish side here, we should be pushing up here as the B wave up here, coming down for wave 1, the A, the B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here for wave 2, and then coming down again at that point. So coming down for 3, 4, 5 and finishing. So it could be like that. Like I say, we've been working through this for a while now, and it's still, I mean, there is a little 5 waves here that sort of haunts me a little bit, but I've also got 5 here and I've got 3 here, so I don't have 5 here. So I have to go to the bullish side here, so that's why that's there. But yeah, anyway, that's that if you want to go long. And the Bank of America, so the 38.2% retracement level from this top here down to down to this point here is just above, you can see it's just above the 30k there, so $30 rather. So yeah, so we're just looking for, as always have been, it's just the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here. So not a biggie here. Now this is due for Tuesday, obviously. Morgans have had theirs, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of follow through that they get on their market. The 30 here will be a bit of a stopper, but we'll just see how that goes. Now, as I've mentioned before, it is possible to look at this as 1 and 2 here, and then see all these little sort of things here. It is possible to put, you know, to finish these off in here like this here, as I've mentioned before, but I don't really like jamming things up in here, you know, but it might be something that we need to do if we see, you know, the price really move off from, you know, really above this point here. And the other point here with this too is that we've got the A, the B. We could have it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. Instead of having the wave 1 there, we can have 5 waves and call it wave C at that point. But if the NASDAQ and the SP500 turn into like bearish patterns, then we'll need to look at this as wave 1 here, with wave 2 coming back over here, and then wave 3, 4, and 5 here. So I can't rule it out. So it's okay to talk about it, you know, and it's good to talk about it when the market's bullish, you know. So anyway, that's the side of it, you know. If we, you know, at what point would I turn bullish on this? Well, I need to see an impulse wave to the upside, and that would just have to be wave 1 at this point and wave 2 here. So I would still need to see, I'd need to see a wave 3 here, and then a 4, and then a 5, and then I'd need to see, well, then we will need the ABC as our setup at that point, because then we could go long safe trade here, but because we've got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, we could buy on the pullback here. And we also need to be mindful that this is not just wave 1 here with wave 2 over here. So we need this move here to be very clear as well, not just up here and emotionally grabbing us thinking that it is bullish at that point, you know. We need to be, you know, we'll need to look at other markets in that case, you know. So anyway, all on track for BAC. With block here, I'm not doing anything with this. As I mentioned before, I've got it as an ABC pattern here because this low here has taken out this B wave low here. You know, so yeah, just don't get, you know, I could look at this as wave 1 here and 2 here, but I can't look at this as wave 1 and 2 because this has taken out the low here. Do you know what I mean? So it's forcing it to be corrective here. So I'm thinking that, you know, I don't know if it's going to go up here first and then come down here, or just drop from here. I just don't know. But all I can say to you, this pattern here is more corrective than bullish, you know, and PayPal and Shopify and all those guys are in on that side there as well. And the banks, you know, are not proving bullish at this point, you know, like tech stocks. This is Johnson & Johnson here, so it does look like this is 1 and 2 here and 3, 4, 5. We had a bit of a look at this last week, so I said I'll just keep a bit of an eye on it. So if it gives us this move back here, we can look to be long from that point. This may just also push up here higher at that point. I'm not quite sure, but wave 1 here is quite small. But this could be 1 and 2 in here and 3, 4, 5. So there might be a little bit more to be had here in terms of like a little move here, then back again, and then up here, and then this sort of thing. So it's going to take a fair while to play out here, you know, if that's going to be the case. But it'd be interesting to see if it sits in the 165, because that's the beginning of group 2 here, the medium level here, 150, 165, 172, 180. The market's been working into it all quite nicely through all of this here. So to actually reclaim support back within group 2 would give it a bit of a bullish bias at that point. Alrighty, I'll leave that at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.